state of being the Absolute by knowledge of the Absolute. Nidaga, I shall gladly further give you the exposition of the Supreme, which is extremely secret, rare to come by, wonderful in content, and confers instant liberation on the deserving person. Listen to this with a pure heart. The knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, the mass of bliss, is easy for those who have great purity of mind. This weighty knowledge of Brahman will enter easily into the steadfast minds of those for whom the righteous actions performed in an endless variety of births have come to fruition. To those who have practiced steadily in this birth every day in their minds the Brahman practice, this will bring the attainment of the supreme knowledge when their minds become purified. The awareness of the Supreme will arise only to those who have, by the endeavor of their mind, constantly persisted in Brahman practice, and thus conquered the mind, never easily for others. This awareness will come easily and confer bliss, remove sorrow, be the most auspicious of the auspicious, and avoid all modifications like birth and such, and make oneself the Supreme, the existence consciousness bliss. The mind is the foe wherefrom the fear of worldly existence can arise. For those who would be of the nature of the Supreme and be rid of this worldly existence. Therefore, it is only for those who can conquer their minds by the supreme bhava, conviction, that the mind and such, which are the perceived, are ever Brahman, the perceiver, and that am I, and remain undeterred that the illusory fear of worldly existence will disappear by the knowledge of the Supreme. For others, the fear of worldly existence will never be removed. Therefore, son, be rid of this debilitating fear of repeated birth by conquering the mind and attaining the divisionless knowledge of the Supreme Brahman with the differenceless bhava, conviction that all the world, which is the modification of the fickle form of the mind, is only the fickle mind, and that the mind is the Supreme, which is the ever-changeless awareness, and that is myself. Thus, attaining the knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, become one with the Supreme. What is seen as mind and such is only Brahman. There is neither the mind nor anything else. What is seen as the weighty, worldly misery is only Brahman. There is no agitated world and nothing sullied. What is seen as fear is only Brahman. There is no pursuing fear or desire. Always I am Brahman, without a second. Filled with this knowledge, become one with the undivided Absolute. What is seen as manifold is only Brahman. There is nothing ever which is differentiated. What is seen as various groups is only Brahman. There is never anything that is a group. What is seen as the world and such is only Brahman. There is never any world, individual, or the Supreme. Always I am Brahman, without a second. Filled with this knowledge, become one with the undivided Absolute. What is seen as the Guru and others is only Brahman. There is nothing else such as guru and disciple. What is seen as form and such is only Brahman. There is nothing else such as with form and formless and others. All appearances that are seen are only Brahman. There is nothing such as a seen object. The Supreme Brahman is formless, and I am that. Filled with this knowledge, become one with the undivided Absolute. All ever is Brahman. There is never such a thing as all. The whole perfect, full Brahman, which is all-pervasive, is only myself. There is nothing apart. Attaining this undivided knowledge of the awareness of the Supreme Brahman, and being rid of this unwholesome fear of worldly existence, become ever the perfectly full Brahman. Delusion and others that are perceived are all Brahman. The actions arising therefrom are all Brahman. What is seen as creation is all Brahman. All its actions are entirely Brahman. The body and others that are seen are all only Brahman. All things down to a blade of grass are all Brahman. The Supreme Brahman is one, and that is myself. By this awareness, ever abide as the Absolute. All means like action and others are only Brahman. All the results that are achieved are only Brahman. What is eaten with relish is only Brahman. All that is obtained in the world is only Brahman. All forms of the nature of the triad of qualities are only Brahman. The triad of gods is only Brahman. I am this Brahman, which is without a second. By this awareness, ever abide as the Absolute. All the gods who are the highest are only Brahman. All the blemishless rishis, sages, seers, are only Brahman. All the common men are only Brahman. All the other beings are only Brahman. Thought and others are all only Brahman. The world, individuals, and the Supreme are all only Brahman. The Supreme Brahman is non-dual, and I am that. Filled with this knowledge, abide as one with the undivided Absolute. There is no space apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no air apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no fire apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no water apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no earth apart from the Supreme Brahman. There are no senses apart from the Supreme Brahman. All is the Supreme Brahman, and I am that. By attaining such knowledge of the Supreme, you yourself become the Supreme. There are no beings apart from the Supreme Brahman. There are no worlds apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no enjoyment apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no enjoyer apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no action apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no doer apart from the Supreme Brahman. The Supreme Brahman is all, and I am that. Attaining such knowledge of the Supreme, you yourself become the Supreme. There is no delusion apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no body apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no yoga apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no knowledge apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no bondage apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no liberation apart from the Supreme Brahman. All is the Supreme Brahman, and that am I. Attaining such knowledge of the Supreme, you yourself become the Supreme. There is no egoity apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no thisness apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no discrete state apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no integral state apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no here apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no hereafter apart from the Supreme Brahman. All is the Supreme Brahman, and that am I. By attaining such knowledge of the Supreme, you yourself become the Supreme. There is no seer apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is nothing to be seen apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no I apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no you apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no one apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is nothing apart from the Supreme Brahman. All is the Supreme Brahman, and that am I. By attaining such knowledge of the Supreme, you yourself become the Supreme. There is no japa, repetition of a mantra, apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no tapas, intense spiritual practice or austerity, apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no holy shrine apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no holy river apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no God apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no service apart from the Supreme Brahman. All is the Supreme Brahman, and that am I. By attaining such knowledge of the Supreme, you yourself become the Supreme. There is no guru apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no disciple apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no object of inquiry apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no strength apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no time apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no space apart from the Supreme Brahman. All is the Supreme Brahman, and that am I. By attaining such knowledge of the Supreme, you yourself become the Supreme. There is no delusion apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no Lord Ishwara apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no ignorance apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no individual apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is no world apart from the Supreme Brahman. There is not an atom apart from the Supreme Brahman. The Supreme Brahman is all, and that am I. By attaining such knowledge of the Supreme, you yourself become the Supreme. There is nothing to equal Brahman. There is nothing greater than Brahman. There is not an atom apart from Brahman. Brahman manifests as all. Brahman is the beloved of all. Brahman is the inundation of the great bliss. Brahman is all, and that am I. By such differenceless knowledge, you yourself become Brahman. Brahman itself is the disciple of Brahman. Brahman itself is the guru of Brahman. Brahman itself is the God of Brahman. Brahman itself is the worship of Brahman. Brahman itself is the meditation of Brahman. Brahman itself is the knowledge of Brahman. Brahman is all, and that am I. By such differenceless knowledge, you yourself become Brahman. Brahman itself is the father of Brahman. Brahman itself is the mother of Brahman. Brahman itself is the son of Brahman. Brahman itself is the other relatives of Brahman. Brahman itself is the foe of Brahman. Brahman itself is the friend of Brahman. Brahman is all, and that am I. By such differenceless knowledge, you yourself become Brahman. Brahman itself is the defect of Brahman. Brahman itself is the merit of Brahman. Brahman itself is the fear of Brahman. Brahman itself is the success of Brahman. Brahman itself is all the differences. Brahman itself is without an atom of difference. Brahman itself is all, and that am I. By such differenceless knowledge, you yourself become Brahman. Brahman itself appears as ignorance. Brahman itself appears as the ego. Brahman itself appears as the intellect and the mind. Brahman itself appears as thought and such. Brahman itself appears as the world and beings. Brahman itself appears as the form of Shiva. Brahman itself is all, and that am I. By such differenceless knowledge, you yourself become Brahman. Brahman itself appears as the gross form. Brahman itself appears as the subtle form. Brahman itself appears as an icon form. Brahman itself appears as a non-icon form. Brahman itself appears as the root form. Brahman itself appears also as the whole. Brahman is all, and that am I. By such differenceless knowledge, you yourself become Brahman. Brahman itself appears as power. Brahman itself appears as siddhis, miraculous powers, accomplishments. Brahman itself appears as the inert. Brahman itself appears as consciousness. Brahman itself appears as manifold. Brahman is all the appearances. Brahman is all, and that am I. By such differenceless knowledge, you yourself become Brahman. Brahman itself is the self, and the self itself is Brahman. The self is not apart from Brahman. There is never anything different from this self, which is all Brahman. This self, which is of the nature of Brahman, is all the things that manifest themselves as differentiated. By the differenceless knowledge that is aware that the self of the nature of Brahman is oneself, you yourself become Brahman. Oneself is, indeed, the light that shines as itself. Oneself is, indeed, the joy that is established as itself. Oneself is, indeed, the truth of being oneself. Oneself is, indeed, that which is the complete, the perfectly full. Oneself is indeed the God that has no equal to itself. Oneself is indeed the thing that has nothing apart from itself. Oneself is indeed Brahman. By such steadfast knowledge, you yourself become Brahman, which is oneself. One's own self is indeed the ceaseless existence. One's own self is indeed the uninterruptedly shining consciousness. One's own self is indeed the peerless, unparalleled great bliss. One's own self is the ultimate settled conclusion of all. One's own self is, indeed, the explanation of the great aphorisms, Mahavakyas. One's own self is, indeed, the undivided, complete, perfectly full self. One's own self, indeed, is Brahman. By such steadfast knowledge, you yourself become Brahman, which is oneself. One's own self is indeed that which has lost the characteristic of Jivatva, being an individual soul. One's own self is indeed that which has lost its status of the characteristic of lordship, being Ishvara. One's own self is indeed that which is the undifferentiated Supreme Brahman. One's own self is indeed that which is the undivided Supreme Brahman. One's own self is indeed that which is non-dual. One's own self is indeed that which is undivided, complete, and perfectly full. By such steadfast knowledge that one's self indeed is one's own self, you yourself become Brahman, which is one's self. One's own self is indeed that which is without any conditionings. One's own self is indeed that which is without a speck of impurity. One's own self is indeed that which is extremely pure. One's own self is indeed that which is the beloved of all. One's own self is indeed that which is like the sky. One's own self is indeed that which is the infinite Supreme Self. By such steadfast knowledge that one's own self is indeed one's self, you yourself become Brahman, which is one's self. One's own self indeed is that which transcends divisions and such. One's own self indeed is that which is established as the highest of the high. One's own self indeed is that which is without delimitations. One's own self indeed is that which is totally pure. One's own self indeed is that which is a mass of knowledge. One's own self indeed is that which is the Supreme Brahman. By such steadfast knowledge that one's own self is indeed one's self, you yourself become Brahman, which is one's self. One's own self indeed is of the nature of the eternal Brahman. One's own self indeed is of the nature of the partless Brahman. One's own self indeed is of the nature of the taintless Brahman. One's own self indeed is of the nature of the blemishless Brahman. One's own self, indeed, is of the nature of the intersticeless Brahman. One's own self, indeed, is of the nature of the afflictionless Brahman. One's own self, indeed, is of the nature of the all-pervasive Absolute. By such unwavering knowledge, you yourself become the Absolute itself. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which is all. I indeed am of the nature of the Brahman, devoid of all. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which is the truth. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which is ancient. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which is changeless. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which is permanent. I indeed am of the nature of the Supreme, which is peaceful. By such unfailing knowledge, you yourself become Brahman. I indeed am of the nature of the Brahman, which is delusionless. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which is without ignorance. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which is devoid of the Lord Ishvara. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which has no individual jiva. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which has no worlds. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which is peaceful. I indeed am of the nature of the pure Absolute. By such unfailing knowledge, you yourself become Brahman. I indeed am of the nature of the imperishable Brahman. I indeed am of the nature of the decayless Brahman. I indeed am of the nature of the bondageless Brahman. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which is higher than the highest. I indeed am of the nature of Brahman, which is non-dual. I indeed am of the nature of the undivided Brahman. I indeed am the pure Supreme Brahman. By such unfailing knowledge, you yourself become Brahman itself. Except me, there is no existence or non-existence. Except me, there is no object, real or unreal. Except me, there is no consciousness or non-consciousness. Except me, there is no object that is consciousness or non-consciousness. Except me, there is no duality or non-duality. Except me, there is no object to be perceived. I am ever the Supreme Brahman. That I am. By such unfailing knowledge, you yourself become Brahman itself. Brahman is myself. I am Brahman. Brahman is all. There is not an atom apart from Brahman. Those who have this awareness will become Brahman itself alone, the nature of awareness, and will never be anything else. This, I say, is the truth. There is no doubt about it. This is indeed the truth. I say this in the name of the all-pervasive Shambhu, Shiva, bestower of happiness. This is the truth indeed. and there is no doubt of this. There is not an atom apart that is not Brahman. Whatever is apart from Brahman is a misapprehension. There is not an atom apart that is not Brahman. Whatever is apart from Brahman is illusory. There is not an atom apart that is not Brahman. Whatever is apart from Brahman is unreal. There is not an atom apart that is not Brahman. Whatever is apart from Brahman is only Brahman. Just as the pot and the cloth that are seen as appearances in the dream are only illusory, the manifold world, individuals, and the Supreme that are sought as the seen in the waking state are also only illusory. Only Brahman, the seer, which is not different from the self, and which knows all else, is ever imperishable and true. There is not an atom of doubt in what is said. Therefore, all the world is an illusion. All the living beings therein are an illusion. The different forms of Shiva are an illusion. The different forms of Hari are an illusion. The forms of all other gods are an illusion. Whatever seems as if real is an illusion. What imperishably exists ever is only the undivided Brahman, without a beginning or end. When inquired into thoroughly, this illusion, which has risen up as the world and others, on the substratum of all, Brahman, is only the non-dual, pure substratum, Brahman itself. When the serpent that manifests as the illusion on the rope has been inquired into, has anyone found the serpent to be anything other than the rope, the substratum? By thoroughly inquiring into the nature of both the substratum and the superimposition, and realizing in one's blemishless mind the differenceless knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, that the superimposition is the world and individuals, the basic substratum is Brahman, and that differenceless Brahman is myself, one shall avoid the debilitating dread of transmigration. Son, by the effort of one's mind itself, the complete knowledge of the Supreme Brahman can be achieved. By such knowledge, the great liberation is within the easy reach of all. There is nothing at all of which to be afraid in the practice of non-dual knowledge. Even if it were frightening, could there be any difficulty in attempting to practice this? Even where there is no difficulty, it will seem to the accursed mind as if there is difficulty. It is very easy to realize for those whose minds are pure and have cast aside all sinful acts that are contrary to a pure mind. Hence, to those who, undeterred, take to the correct practice of knowledge, steadfast knowledge will accrue by the grace of the God of gods. Only to those who constantly, steadfastly, and uninterruptedly practice the knowledge of the undivided Absolute, that I am Brahman, Brahman is myself, and I am all, until the Brahman knowledge is firm, will the knowledge that I am Brahman become natural, by the grace of that undivided Ishvara, Lord. If it becomes natural by Brahman knowledge, the debilitating dread of transmigration will disappear. If the sacred knowledge of the Supreme becomes natural, all that is seen will be completely, perpetually non-existent. All will be only completely, perpetually non-existent. You and I will be only completely, perpetually non-existent. All jivas will be only completely, perpetually non-existent. The world and para will be completely, perpetually non-existent. The Supreme Brahman alone will be the magnificent, perfect fullness. If all becomes completely perpetual non-existence and of the nature of the undivided Absolute, there is no chance for the dread of transmigration to rise again. Therefore, those with the urge for liberation should, by constant relentless practice of all is Brahman and that I am, attain the blemishless knowledge of the Supreme, and through that eliminate the sorrow-ridden fear of transmigration. Brahman, which is of the nature of all pervasive existence, is all. I am that limitless Supreme Brahman, which is beyond the reach of the words or mind. By practicing thus with the subtle mind and attaining the pure knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, eliminate all the hard-to-remove dread of transmigration and become the Supreme itself, which is complete fullness. Even after learning all that learning has to offer, there is nothing except the clear knowledge of the Supreme Brahman that can eliminate the dread of transmigration. Therefore, by always having the knowledge of the one Supreme Brahman, that all is Brahman and that am I, eliminate the troublesome fear of transmigration and become the Supreme itself, which is complete fullness. Nidaga, moved by love and out of compassion for the benefit of all, I have clearly explained to you the greatness of the nature of the self of oneself, which is completely Brahman alone, as expounded to me by the Supreme Shiva. I say this is the truth. In the name of the all-pervading Shiva, there is not the least doubt of what has been said. Whoever listens to this rare explanation with devotion and understands it becomes Brahman. Only those who have conducted Vedantic inquiry, who have resorted to Sama, tranquility, equanimity, and Dhamma, self-control, and such means, who have realized that the Immaculate Supreme Shiva is all, and who have realized that Shiva is ourselves, will, rid of the dread of transmigration, enjoy blemishless supreme happiness. Thus the sage Ribhu clearly explained the peerless Supreme to Nidaga. It is the infinite form of our blemishless Lord in a state of joyous dance that proclaims, those who have, by constant endeavor of a pure mind, become initiated into the pure knowledge, who are filled with the unwavering knowledge that all is Brahman and that am I, will, rid of this debilitating fear of worldly existence, become one with the Supreme.